That's better. Hey guys, welcome. Impromptu live stream. And today we are going to use my airbrush in an attempt to actually spray hairspray sort of camouflage pattern. I'm not going to use hairspray, I'm going to use heavy chipping fluid from AK Interactive. And just a heads up, the camera is mounted next to my compressor, so when the compressor goes on, just so you guys know, it's gonna be rather loud. This is just a heads up. So we are going to be painting a camouflage on this Stuck 3 here that I have already primed and laid down a layer of German Cam Black Brown as base color for the original primer color that the Germans would have on their vehicles during that time of the war. I will be adding this heavy chipping fluid over the top in just a second with my airbrush, and once that has set, we will be spraying dark yellow from Mick Productions. Actually, Ammo by Mick. I'm sorry here. I was wrong there. Hello. And we're going to paint this over the top, and then using water, we will be chipping away. Water, Mr. Cohen Campbell. Water! We'll be chipping away at this vehicle. And after that, we'll be adding, I don't know whether or not we'll be doing this today, but I will be doing this at some point. I'll be adding another layer of this, which basically acts like hairspray. And then I'll paint the green camouflage pattern on this and chip that as well. So today, we will be doing a couple of layers of this chipping fluid, followed by dark yellow as our base color over this primer red color, which basically is Cam Black Brown by Model Color Thinned, sprayed over the top. I then picked out the wooden details on the chassis here of the Stuck and on the tools because I want to chip them and have the wood like shine through the actual color. So without further ado, and once again, heads up to those of you who have just joined, the compressor is actually next to the camera. I'm not sure, it might happen that the camera falls down. I'm sorry if that happens if the compressor starts to go. It's the only way I can set this up so that I can give you guys like a prime look at what I'm doing, as well as have the compressor running. So let me just see. That's what it's going to be. But it looks as if at least the camera stays in its place. Alright, let's move it a bit further this way. I hope you guys just didn't have a heart attack there. Or actually go deaf. Alright, let's take some of the chipping fluid, and I'm not even sure whether or not I should shake this. I don't know. It doesn't say on the bottle, but it doesn't say don't shake either, so we're gonna use that with the pipette. Put this into our airbrush. This is a Harder Steenbeck Infinity with a 0.4 needle nozzle configuration right now. And then we'll just spray away. Hey Chalky. We'll just spray away don't need to be too careful with the chipping fluid. We do, however, have the chance and the option to put more down in certain areas and less down in other areas where we don't want the chipping to be too extreme. Because this is the heavy chipping fluid. This actually does leave some rather large chips, but it still leaves you with a lot of control, so it's not too bad, I guess. Just a heads up, I left the barrel in black primer, so this is just black. Whereas the rest of the tank, like I said, is in the cam black brown. Which will allow me to have the cam black brownish red color of German mid-war primer show through. I want to put a lot of this on the fenders because the fenders are an area that would have gotten a lot of wear and tear and would be chipped rather heavily compared to other areas of the vehicle. We then have to let this dry before we can then apply the dark yellow base coat over the vehicle. I decided to do this as a live stream because I was at the bench anyways, and I just wanted to create some content because I don't think that I have a video of me airbrushing on my channel at all, so yeah, why not? Basically what you can do is, if you don't have the chipping fluid, you can just use hairspray. But from what I've heard and what I've seen, not every hairspray brand is the same when it comes to hairspray chipping. So you gotta be careful. Alright. Looks about good. I can add a bit more here where the hatches are, maybe the barrels. It says to do like 2 or 3 layers of it on top of it. Hey, Mike. I've always used this cam black brown chipping to do like brush chips or chips with the sponge, but this actually should work just as well, if not better, so we'll see how this works out. I have masked off the hatches here because I painted the interior of the tank as well, because I want to leave the roof in a way that you can take it off. Okay, I don't think we need this. Use too much. We then want to use some airbrush cleaner to get the residue out of this, of the chipping fluid out of our airbrush before we add the actual paint, because not a good thing to mix the two, because that will just allow our paint to get chippy. Where did the brush now go? Awesome. I just lost the brush. But I don't think I need that brush. Oh, there it is. I don't think I need that brush now anyways. Anyhow. Alright. Let's quickly clean the airbrush while we let this dry. This should be a matter of, let's say, 10 minutes. So, what's everyone up to? I know that some of you are still on vacation, post-Christmas, post-New Year's vacation. Which is cool. How are your builds coming along? How is life treating you? What are you up to right now? Just some basic input here. Always handy to have bottles of water around the bench. I know already. Yeah, I know. You're fighting with instruction sheets and redecorating. This is a Sparmax, I think 610? Yeah, I think it's a Sparmax 610. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, it's a 610. CH? H? TP? Yeah, something. It's a Sparmax. I hope that the compressor noise is not too irritating. Did you decide to paint the roundels on now, Chalky, or are you going to go for aftermarket after those Tamiya decals totally went nuts? Let me know. I would be interested in knowing. Right. Yeah. Awesome, awesome stuff. Awesome bit of kit. It comes with a price tag, of course. It's not a cheap compressor, but it's a good compressor. I wouldn't want to trade it back for the old one that I had before. Right in. All right. Interested in seeing that. All right, as we can see, or as you can see, if I lift this up, this is still wet in some areas, so we still have to wait a bit more for the hairspray to dry. Or I'm calling it hairspray because it basically works like hairspray, and I'm not even sure whether or not this actually is much different from hairspray in its consistency and what's in here. Maybe it's just thinned down hairspray. It would not surprise me the least. So what we need next is our base color, and in this case I have decided to go with Ammo by MiG, dark yellow, dunkelgelb, mid-war, Ammo by MiG color number 0/10, and we'll be thinning this down a considerable amount. And then we'll just spray this on top here. I'm not going to do modulation on this one because I think that with the chipping and the light dusting and all the weathering that I'm going to be doing, I can do without modulation on this one. I have done modulation in the past. I'm not the best painter, to be honest, so I kind of messed the paint jobs up. So yeah, I decided not to do modulation on this one and just go with the basic easy dark yellow with some green over the top. Let me see where I have the green that I'm going to spray over the top. That's white. That's police green, but that's not the right green, I think. That's gray. There you go. Olive green. Oh, dust. Haven't been airbrushing for a while now. This is the olive green, option 2, Ammo by MiG 002. Alright. Glad you like him. See you around next time. Sorry that this takes a while to dry, so I can't be as quick as I might want to be, but yeah, we need to let this really set before I go on, because otherwise the paint job will be ruined. And a ruined paint job basically means the kit is ruined as well. So yeah, we'll be doing this as the green over the top. But this probably won't be happening today. But yeah, it's Ammo by MiG 002 and Ammo by MiG 010. Or RAL 7028 and RAL 6003 if you care for RALs, because you don't want to use MiG colors. We're getting there. Maybe I can speed up the process a bit. It has a nice sheen to it now because of the hair. Like, see, I always keep calling it hairspray, although it's not hairspray. Has a nice sheen to it now, so we know that it's covered nicely. Yeah, seems like we can start in a second here. Let's load this gun because we want to have some in there as well. But I think I missed this, but that's okay because I probably will be covering this. We use thinner. It doesn't matter what brand of thinner you use. I still have this thinner lying around, so I'm going to be using this thinner. Like I said, it doesn't matter what brand you use. Just use the brand that you'd like to use. Alright. Airbrush seems to be rather clean. We can go and spray some water through it just to make sure. I can't fault this airbrush at all. This is the Infinity. That's the high-end airbrush from Harder Steenbeck. I love this brush. It's really good. It requires some maintenance, but if you're able to keep this working and clean, this is probably one of the best brushes on the market. So, let's drop a couple of drops of thinner into our airbrush. That was 5. Good morning. How are you doing today? Then we shake the paint real well. You always have to shake paints, because if you don't, your paints will act up. With this thinner, you can go for a 2-to-1 thinning ratio. We don't want the paint to be too thick. We don't want the paint to be too thin. Seems I could add a bit more thinner. 2 more drops of thinner. Then we mix it with our brush to be perfectly sure. See, well, could thin this a bit more actually. It's a little bit thick. 2 drops. Mix it again. Yeah, that's better now. Oh no. Oh no. Damn. Why? And then, just as we did in the previous step, we just spray our paint onto our model. We want to build up the paint, we don't want to fluff the model. Like I said, I am not the expert on painting. You gotta go to other YouTube channels if you want expert clinics on painting. For example, Carlos Mendez. He just is an out-of-this-world painter compared to me. And we always want to keep good old Q-tips handy to clean up the tip of our airbrush here, because otherwise we get ugly paint dots that we seems that the paint might be too thick still, so I want to add 1 more drop. Actually, 2 more drops of thinner to thin it down even more, because I don't get the spray results that I want to have here. So let's thin it down a bit more. Yeah, that's better. At roughly 20 psi. As I said, I always want to keep the nozzle clean, because that can just lead to ugly, ugly overspray. And not just overspray, but just ugly. This will take a while here, just so you guys know, and I will be talking a lot while I do this, because I want to concentrate on. Achieving a proper result. So. Yeah, okay. Now this is exactly what we did not want to happen. Our airbrush started to sputter because we had paint clustered around the nozzle, which results in ugly, ugly spatter. But thanks to the hairbrush chipping method, I can actually chip it where we have spatter, so it's not that bad. That happens when you do it like this. I'm not 100% happy with the way this is turning out right now, but we'll see what this looks like once it's done. And I'm pretty sure that I'm doing a lot of things wrong while airbrushing. Like I said, I'm not the best airbrusher in the world. And I'm not claiming to be the best airbrusher in the world. And I'm sorry that I haven't been able to keep an eye out for what you were saying in the comments here for the last couple of minutes, but I'm trying to not mess this up even more than I'm already doing. With not looking at what I'm doing, so. If I would have to say what my one real weakness in modeling is, it's airbrushing, to be honest. And you probably have already figured that out by just seeing me doing a horrible job with this. But are there any comments that I haven't seen? No, I haven't. Okay. Good. Aren't talking to me. That's good. I appreciate that. In the lower areas of the tank right here, we can be a bit, we can leave the paint a bit more thin when it comes to coverage. Because this is where, one, there are shadows. Shadows will remain darker. And two, there will be dust and mud anyway, so... a lot of what is there will be invisible anyway, so... while we do want to give this a thorough spray, German tank units never really bothered with the lower underside of their tanks either, so they were always a bit, let's say, neglected paint-wise. Alright, we're closing in here. Where we want it to be. This might have been a bit too much paint. Well, we'll see. Yeah, that probably was a bit too much paint, but never mind. I appreciate all of you guys watching this right now, and I appreciate all the guys that are watching this on demand on my channel. Thank you very much. You guys are keeping this channel afloat. I appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time out of your day to sit down and either listen to me ruin this life on my channel. Without you, this would not be possible. I would not be doing this. I wouldn't. Oh God, this was awful. As you can see, I just ruined the lower side there, but thank God it only was the underside there. Paint might be a bit too thin right now as well, which is why I'm getting weird results, but yeah, it is what it is. So. Like I said, the lower hull here will always be neglected by German tankers anyways, so we can just give the damn it! Exactly what we did not want to happen. I'm doing a horrible job right now, I'm sorry. Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna leave it at this. Otherwise, I'm just gonna ruin this even further. Yeah. Gonna add a bit more here to the roof. In areas where I couldn't get before. Which is why it's great to have the roof like. And then I can spray there as well. Alright. Now, what I can do is reopen the bottle here. And then, at least, put the paint back in there so we don't waste the paint. Reseal the bottle without making a mess of ourselves. Like so. Add some cleaner to our airbrush. And then just clean the color cup. I'm gonna clean the airbrush off camera properly later, so yeah, this is just so the airbrush is not like totally gooey. I'm gonna do that. Anyway, the fun part starts now anyway, so now is the time for me to clean the mess that I made with the tank earlier and just try and repair all the damage that I've done painting it, which will be a tough task. Gotta tell you, I didn't do a great job with the painting here, and I'm not particularly happy with what the outcome here. So yeah, stay with me for a second. We'll let this dry for a couple seconds more here while I'm pseudo cleaning my airbrush. And I'm gonna actually wash my hands now because I now have paint on my hands that I don't want to have on the tank in a later stage. So I'll be gone for a second here while I leave you staring at the tank. Which will sit on this cutting mat here right now because we don't need this dirty mugger of a mat now. Right, there you go. Take a look at the horrible paint job I've done while I'm washing my hands and while this dries, and I'll be back in just a second. I should find a way to play elevator music while I'm gone. And there's a way to just not have to leave, which is called rubber gloves. But since I'm out of rubber gloves, all the fisting that's going on, yeah, I just had to go and wash my hands. Anyways, that allowed me to get even more water here. What we need now is clean paper towels. Always good to have clean paper towels, and we'll attend to the roof in just a second. I'll start out with, or actually, no, let's start out with the roof, right? Yeah, let's put this to the side here. Let's start with the roof. Any comments while I was gone? No, nobody's talking. All right. What we need now is clean paper towel. We can use cocktail sticks or toothpicks for this, as well as rough bristle brushes, as well as not so rough bristle brushes, like this one right here. All right, and what we want to do now is focus on the areas where a lot of the crew would either interact with the tank, walk on the tank, open hatches, close hatches, moving parts, parts that might interact with nature on some kind of level. For example, where it would be scratched by branches from trees, branches from bushes, all that sort of thing. And we then want to use just tap water and a brush and slightly moisten the areas where we think that our paint would be chipped. Then we let this sit, and we can take the stiff bristle brush, and then we can, oh yeah, that's beautiful. I like this. And we can just, with stippling motions like the ones I'm just using, scratch and chip the surface. And I'm going to show you guys in a second here what I mean. I hope the camera actually picks this up. Just focus on the housing here for the periscope where I did the chipping right now. It's very subtle, very light. We don't want to overdo it. Same we can do here on the gun shield for the machine gun, which would actually see a bit more use. So again, use a stiff bristle brush, and especially the areas where like the gun shield would be moved, like around the hinges where the machine gun would go through, around the corners where there would be wear. We can also use our soft bristle brush to do this and chip with this. Yeah, I like the results of this. I like this a lot. Yeah, this is actually doing exactly what I wanted it to do. Yeah, beautiful. This is coming out nicely. And if you misdo the paint job like I did, this gives you the opportunity to just basically undo your paint job by just, the chipping will highlight, will take over, and people will just focus on the chipping. Yes, I will post close-ups of this on Facebook in my group as well as in our chat, so you can take a look at them. Some areas you want to be a bit more coarse, you just use a bit more water and the paint just starts flaking and you see the nice dark color from underneath that comes through. The same goes with the corners of the hatches here. I want to go along the lines of the panels here. Oh, this is beautiful. Just beautiful. Oh yeah. Yeah. This actually makes me forget the horrible paint job I just did. And we can also use the cocktail stick. We can wet, and then we can just scratch the surface, and this allows us to make nice scratches on the surface, which also adds a new layer and another layer of chipping to this. Because this is what I said when I meant when I talked about branches and trees and stuff like this, rubbing on the surface of your tank or of the tank and damaging it. Panel edges often get chipped. Those are areas where there's a lot of wear and tear. Always want to highlight those with a bit of chipping. Don't want to overdo it though, since you want to have some areas where there's a bit more chipping and some areas where there's a bit less chipping. And now I'm going to focus on the turret hatch here and the commander's cupola, because this would actually see quite a lot of wear because the commander would get in there, of course. He would rest on it. It would be the target of machine gun fire quite often. So we would have quite a bit of chip and wear and tear here on the cupola. So this is an area where you want to go overboard with your chipping. Although, no, you don't want to go overboard, but you want to go a bit more into it here. Because this is, like I said, an area where there would be quite a lot of wear and tear. And I just hope that the camera picks this up when I show you guys right now how this looks right now. Let me move the light a bit. Does it pick it up, Tommy? Chalky? Because I can't see whether or not this is actually good or not. Anyways, like I said, I will be posting close-up pictures of this on both my Facebook page, H-Book Modeling, as well as, yeah, probably. Maybe I'll do a slideshow video as well, so we'll see about this. All right. That's good. All right. And that's about, nope. Don't forget the back edges here. Just because you're focusing on the front doesn't mean the back doesn't have any wear and tear here. So let's focus on this a bit as well. Want to go a bit more overboard here on this side of the loader's hatch, because this is the side to which the loader as well as the gunner would get out of the tank. So this area would see a bit more extreme chipping because they would handle this side of the tank a bit more when they get out of it. So yeah, we'll have a bit more chipping on this side. So all right, that's the turret roof. Now let's move over to the tank. Areas again that we want to focus on are movable objects or areas of interest, like the driver's optics port here, which is actually a moving part, which would get quite a bit of wear. Again, edges of panels, rivets. Those are the areas where you want to focus your chipping on, because this is actually where the tank would and the paint would actually be under constant let's say what's the word here that I'm using that I'm looking for? Chalky, help me. Constant duress and motion is not the friend of a paint job. Let's put it this way. So areas of steady motion, like hatches, and areas of heat, of course. So the barrel and the muzzle of the barrel would be heavily chipped. A lot of modelers actually think that it's sud that collects around the muzzle brake, when it's actually mostly just paint that chips off due to the heat of the muzzle fire. So yeah, that's why there is a lot of soot there. Not a lot of soot, but why you see the dark color, because it's basically the paint flaking off, and you see the dark underneath primer color. One thing that I'm currently recognizing here, though, is that You need to be quick when working with the chipping fluid because it starts to dry, and when it starts to dry, it gets harder and harder to work with. So you want to be quick. Not too quick. You still want to be deliberate in what you do, because otherwise you could ruin it. Yes, there you go. Burnt paint from muzzle flash. Oh yeah, and what I said, the areas where you ruined your paint job, or where you think you screwed up, just chip them a bit more. And you won't realize that you messed up. And if by chance you get too much water onto your model, you can just remove it with a brush or a Q-tip, whatever you have handy. You can also use a bigger brush if you want to create bigger areas of chipping, so that's not an issue either. So, but I want this to be less coarse this time around. And also, by the motion of the brush that when you use a brush, you can indicate the way the objects have chipped your tank. If you go in a horizontal motion or in a vertical motion, that is all just added interest to your model. And like I said, areas like fender tips or the hooks for the towing cable would always see a lot more wear and tear than other areas on your tank. So they would probably be heavier chipped than other areas. So that's why I'm focusing on these right now. And I always work from front to back of the vehicle. And I hope that you guys are enjoying this live stream so far. I hope that some of what I've been saying is helpful to you. Maybe some of you pick up some of the ideas that I'm talking about, some of the techniques that I'm using. If not, that's not a problem. I'm just trying to be as helpful as I can possibly be. And like I said, I am not the best painter and probably not the best modeler as a whole. I'm just someone who tries to improve and tries to help others improve by doing these videos, because I'm learning while I'm doing them, and I hope that you guys are learning something as well. And if that's the case, I guess what I'm doing is okay. This area right now that I'm working on here, in the front of the tank here right now, is where there's a larger piece of spare tracks, so this would get chipped as well. And again, try to focus on the edges. Towing cables, always a good idea to do some heavier chipping because they get used. Tool clamps, something you want to chip a lot because they get used as well. And when the tank crew uses the tools, they take them out of the clamps, and when they take them out of the clamps, of course the clamps will get wear. Same goes for the tools. And this is actually the first time ever I've used brush the wrong way, that I have actually painted the tool clamps, the tools, before I painted them, because I want some of the the wooden color to shine through underneath the base color here. So yeah, we'll see how this works out and if I like this going forward. So far, from what I can see, I actually do like it a lot. You don't want to overdo your chipping though, especially the vehicles that have not been in battle for quite some time. You always want to keep this in mind. How long would the vehicle that you are modeling have been in combat? And if you say like, all right, this has been in combat for like a year, it would be chipped more than a vehicle that say has been in combat for like a week. So you always want to keep that in the back of your head. The fenders are an area that would get a lot of wear, so always want to give them a nice nice chipping, not just on the inside but top surfaces as well. And then, like I said, try to focus on the edges of your tank. Try to focus on the parts where there'll be wear. And don't overdo it. You can easily overdo the chipping, and I think that in some areas I have already overdone it. I always overdo it on the gun, for whatever reason. Don't know why, but it always happens to me. Trying to not overdo it this time around. But it is an area of the tank where there's a lot of action happening, so yeah, you want to keep this in mind. And don't do the same mistake that I'm currently doing and wear gloves while doing this. You can, like I said, also use bigger soft bristle brushes like the one that I'm using when you're doing areas where you think there's a lot of wear, like the fenders. The wooden planks here would be chipped as well. And I think with the wood looking through the dark yellow, that looks quite nice. So I might be overdoing this a bit just to have the nice effect here. And the storage area in the back of the tank would see heavy use as well. People would climb up there, climb down there, pick up stuff from there, take it down again. So this actually would be chipped quite a bit, so you can go quite rough on these areas here, which I am currently doing. So let's the reasoning behind why I'm actually doing this a bit more. And actually a bit coarser. Same goes for the areas where the spare road wheels would be. Those would be heavily chipped. And of course, the areas where there would be stowage, underneath the stowage would get chipped as well, because the stowage, of course, has metal edges like backpacks, and yeah, so that would chip as well. So you want to chip those areas as well, and not forget about them just because you think, well, there's stowage, those wouldn't chip. Yes, they would. Actually, quite a bit. The toolbox would chip as well, quite a bit, because it's metal and it's in use. So yeah, I want to chip this as well. Like I said, the spare road wheel points where the spare road wheels are would get chipped quite a bit. And like I said, the wood would chip heavily. I want to keep the stiff bristle brush dry, because if it gets wet, you might have a bit of an issue. In removing paint with it. And again, an area that we want to focus on is around the edges of the excess hedges here for the engine deck. There will be a lot of wear and tear around those from the crew opening them and closing them on a frequent basis. And like I said, we can use the toothpick for that to add some nice scratches, because like I said, there would be all sorts of stuff going on in here, and we have a lot more control if we use the toothpick, if we want some areas where we want to have more controlling chips, more control chips. And then same goes for this side, for example, here of the fighting compartment. I want to have a nice big scratch here that actually also scratches the turret number. That's good. Let's focus on the other side of the fighting compartment, and we're almost done with this. 1 hour into the video. Which is a good thing. I didn't want to go like 3 hours on this, but having a 1 hour to 1.5 hour video on this is probably quite the nice timing. I hope, like I said, you guys have learned something for your builds in the future. And if you want to know anything, just shoot me a message on Facebook or here on YouTube, and if I find the time, I will try to answer as many of them as possible. And I actually should have the time right now, so yeah, just let me know. I'll get back to you. I'll tell you my opinion on the matter. Like I said, I will be posting pictures of this on my YouTube, on my Facebook page. So if you guys are following me there, you'll get to see the results of this up close, which might give you a better idea of how this looks, because I know that it's tough to see through the camera. Kind of on the home stretch here. Only have some tools and the fender. And I'm always going all out on the fenders, because those fenders are, one, they're sheet metal, two, they are under heavy, heavy duress from the elements, from all sorts of things. They bump into stuff with them. They would be walked on quite a bit. There'll just be a lot of wear and tear on them. So yeah, I always go a bit. I might overdo the fenders from time to time, but yeah, I think those are the most chipped areas of a tank anyway, so it's kind of my reasoning for that. Don't forget the back wall here. The spare track rack would get heavily chipped. Same goes for the vent cap here. That would have some chipping. And again, the edges, the antenna mount. And there are some tools left here in the back, like the jack block that would have chipping, the mount for the jack itself. The jack itself, although I've left the jack off on this one. All right. And then it's only the back that we still have to do, and the underside of our vehicle. But with the underside, like I said earlier, since we will be weathering this heavily at a later stage, it is not a problem if we either overdo it or underdo it at this point, because we can cover a lot of the boo-boos we make there up at a later stage as well. So I always go a bit like I try not to pay too much attention to the underside of the tanks most of the time, because 1, there's mud, 2, there's dust, 3, there's tracks, and 4, there's road wheels, covering a lot of what you do. And I'm a bit of a lazy person when it comes to this. Stuff that I don't see, normally nobody sees. So I'm like a bit of like a snob when it comes to the underside of my tanks. Yeah, I'm a bad person when it comes to underside of tanks. And they would, of course, be heavily scratched if you could see it. If it's not covered in mud or dust, there would be a lot of chipping. Because let's face it, there are stones and pieces of wood and mud and dust and all sorts of things that actually scratch the lower surface of your tank. So yeah, if you want to do it, go overboard down there. If there's one area where you can really go to town chipping wise, it's the underside of your tank, because this would see so much action and this would be so heavily chipped. But if there's one area where I say go nuts, it's down there. And I know that sounds so wrong right now. German just say go nuts down there? Yes, he did. All right. Don't like this. It needs a bit more chipping. Not a lot, but a bit. All right. We can now button this up. Actually, we can now remove this. Let's hope it's still good inside. It looks like it. Yep, that looks good. And don't worry about the hatches up top. I did not do any chipping on them right now because they will be painted with a different color with a brush at a later point. Right, there we have it. We have now successfully chipped the dark yellow underpaint of this Stück. The dark yellow base paint on this Stück. And at a later stage, we will now be adding a camel pattern in olive green. I won't be doing this on this video, so for now, oh, a lot of comments there. Sorry. What's going on, H-Wood? H-Wood is painting. Yeah, Happy New Year to you too, Basil. How does one paint the technique? I have no idea, Seb. Yeah, your grammar is even worse. Oh. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys picked some ideas up from what I did here. And like I said, I'll be posting pictures of this on my Facebook page, H-Wood Modeling. I hope to see you guys over there. For people that I will talk to in other channels, I'll talk to you guys where I talk to you. This has been H-Wood Modeling. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye for now.